Welcome to Relaxed Reddit Readings. Today we have 4 Reddit stories for you. Reddit stories that'll make you question your own relationships. Story 1. My sister and boyfriend went out drinking without me. So my sister and my boyfriend just went out drinking together without even telling me, and I'm apparently the crazy one for being upset about it. Let me paint you the picture here. We're all in our 20s, and my boyfriend was staying at our family house for a bit before moving out of state for work. My sister and I still live with our parents. One night, I went downstairs looking for my boyfriend, and my mom tells me that he and my sister had left to go get drinks. She even said she thought it was weird, which honestly made me feel a little validated. I texted my sister saying, "Hey, I would have come if you'd invited me," but she didn't even respond. When they finally got back, my boyfriend was acting all weird and distant with me. The next day, I tried talking to my sister about it, and she basically brushed me off saying they just felt like going out and it wasn't a big deal. But here's the thing that really gets me, they didn't just decide to grab a quick drink. They were out for hours, just the two of them, and nobody thought to include me or even give me a heads up. My boyfriend said he didn't think it was necessary to ask permission, which fair enough. But it's not about permission. It's about basic consideration and respect. I mean, if your partner is staying at your family home and decides to go out drinking alone with your sibling, wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't you maybe want to be included? My sister has always been the type to do whatever she wants without thinking about how it affects other people, but I expected better from my boyfriend. When I tried explaining why I was hurt, he got defensive and said I was being controlling and that he should be able to hang out with my family. But that's not what this is about at all. It's about the fact that they deliberately excluded me and then acted like I was crazy for having feelings about it. My mom even agreed it was strange behavior, so it's not like I'm completely off base here. The whole thing just felt so disrespectful and inconsiderate. Like, we're supposed to be a team, right? And my sister is supposed to care about my feelings. But instead, they both made me feel like an outsider in my own family situation. Am I really being unreasonable for wanting to be included, or at least given a heads up when my boyfriend and sister decide to go out drinking together? If you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story you relate to the most. Story 2. I called out my parents for having a golden child. So I just told my parents exactly what I think about their obvious favoritism, and now they're acting like I'm the problem. I'm 26, married, have a kid, and I've got my life together. But apparently, that means I don't deserve the same support my 18-year-old brother gets. Here's what pushed me over the edge. When my wife and I planned our child, my parents gave us nothing but grief about not being ready. Mind you, I had a career, a wife, we'd planned this pregnancy, but somehow we weren't ready according to them. Throughout my early 20s, whenever I asked for help, even small stuff, it was always no. They refused to help us financially, which fine, we didn't expect it, but the contrast with my brother is just insane. My brother lives at home with his girlfriend, which is something I never would have been allowed to do. But here's the kicker, I recently found out they're paying for his truck, his insurance, his phone, and giving him spending money. This kid doesn't even have a job. Meanwhile, I'm out here being a responsible adult, and I got lectures about not being ready for parenthood. So I finally snapped and told them it's crystal clear who their golden child is. I laid out all the ways they treat us differently. How my brother gets financial support for everything while I got nothing but criticism. How he's allowed to have his girlfriend live in their house while I would have been kicked out for even suggesting it. How every milestone in my life has been met with skepticism while his every whim gets funded. My mom got all defensive and said they're just trying to help him get on his feet. But what about when I was getting on my feet? Where was that help when I was struggling in my early 20s? They said I'm being dramatic and that they've always supported me, just in different ways. But I can't think of a single time they actually came through when I needed them. They keep saying it's different because he's younger, but the age gap isn't that huge. 8 years, and somehow that justifies completely different treatment. The worst part is they're acting like I'm ungrateful and stirring up drama for no reason. But I'm not imagining this disparity. It's obvious to anyone who pays attention. My wife sees it, my friends see it, but my parents act like I'm being paranoid. I love my brother, and I don't blame him for taking advantage of their generosity. But I'm tired of pretending like this is normal or fair. I worked hard to build my life without their help, and I'm proud of what I've accomplished. But it stings knowing that if I were their favorite, things could have been easier. Was I wrong to finally call them out on their obvious favoritism? Story 3. I accidentally made my colleague's death about myself. So I think I just made the most mortifying mistake of my professional life, and I can't stop thinking about it. This is my first job out of college, and I had to walk past this other recent graduate's desk every day to get to mine. We'd nod at each other, occasionally chat about video games, nothing major. We probably talked maybe a dozen times total, but it was always friendly. Then over the weekend, we got this devastating email that he had suddenly collapsed and died. Just like that. He seemed perfectly healthy, so it was completely shocking. That Monday morning walking past his empty desk felt surreal. I couldn't stop staring at it, thinking about how normal everything had seemed just days before. Later that week, our manager organized a little memorial gathering where people could share memories. Most of my colleagues had worked with him on projects or knew him much better than I did. When it was getting near the end and barely anyone else was talking, I felt this weird pressure to say something. So I stood up and started talking about how his death really made me reflect on life and mortality. I talked about how seeing someone so young and healthy just suddenly die made me realize how precious and unpredictable life is. I mentioned how it motivated me to reach out to old friends and appreciate every day more. I thought I was being thoughtful and reflective, but as soon as I sat down, I realized how that must have sounded. Here I was, talking about how someone else's death affected me and what I learned from it. I wasn't sharing memories of him or talking about what a great person he was. I was literally making his memorial about my personal growth and life lessons. The room felt weird after I spoke, and I noticed a few people giving me strange looks. One of my closer colleagues later pulled me aside and gently suggested that memorial speeches usually focus more on the person who passed away rather than how their death impacted you personally. I was mortified. I genuinely thought I was contributing something meaningful to honor his memory, but instead I turned his memorial into a moment about my own self-reflection. I've been replaying it in my head for days, and I feel sick about it. I didn't mean any disrespect at all. I was actually trying to show that his life and death mattered and had an impact. But I can see how it came across as self-centered and inappropriate. I want to somehow make it right, but I don't know how to fix something like that. Do you think there's a way to apologize without making it worse, or should I just learn from this and move on? Story 4. I told my sister she got what she deserved. So my sister just got cheated on by her husband, and I told her she got what she deserved. I know that sounds harsh, but hear me out. My sister is 31, I'm 30. She's been with her husband for 8 years, married for 3. Here's the thing about my sister, she has cheated on literally every single person she's ever been in a relationship with. Every single one. She's also incredibly selfish and self-centered. If something doesn't revolve around her, she throws a tantrum. If something doesn't benefit her directly, she won't do it. I love her because she's my sister, but I actively try to avoid being around her because she's just exhausting. Now, I always suspected she was cheating on her husband too. She'd make these comments about how marriage is boring and monogamy is unnatural. She'd flirt with other guys right in front of him and brush it off as just being friendly. She'd go out without him constantly and be super secretive about where she was going and who she was with. Her husband is actually a decent guy who's always been good to our family. But apparently, he finally had enough. Last week, my sister found out he's been having an affair for the past year. She called me sobbing, going on and on about how betrayed she feels and how she never saw it coming. She kept saying she gave him everything and how could he do this to her after all these years. She was looking for sympathy and support, but honestly, I just couldn't give it to her. Finally, I said, look, I'm sorry you're hurt, but you got exactly what you deserved. You've cheated on every person you've ever been with, you've been treating your husband like garbage for years, and now you're shocked that he found someone else. She completely lost it. Started screaming about how I'm supposed to support her no matter what and how dare I kick her when she's down. She said what her husband did was completely different because they're married now, which is honestly laughable. Marriage vows didn't stop her from cheating on previous boyfriends right up until she moved in with the next guy. My parents are furious with me. They said regardless of her past behavior, she's hurting right now and needs family support. They think I should have been the bigger person and comforted her instead of throwing her past in her face. But I'm tired of pretending like her behavior doesn't have consequences. She's spent years treating people like they're disposable, and now she's experiencing what that feels like. I don't think she deserves endless sympathy when she finally gets a taste of her own medicine. Maybe this will actually teach her something about how it feels to be on the receiving end of betrayal. Was I too harsh, or is it about time someone gave her a reality check? If you enjoyed these stories, drop a comment telling me which one was your favorite. And if you want more relaxed Reddit readings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment and subscribe for more relaxed Reddit readings.